The sun was warm that morning, the kind of warm that makes people feel safe. But for Sophia, safety was something she had forgotten years ago. She stood behind the counter of the small Italian cafe where she worked, sliding a fresh tray of pastries into place. The smell of warm bread, espresso, and cinnamon filled the air. Customers laughed, talked, and enjoyed their quiet day. But all Sophia felt was the constant weight in her chest, a silent fear that lived with her like a shadow. 2 years. 2 years of hiding under a new name. 2 years of changing cities, jobs, and routines. 2 years of waking up every day whispering the same prayer. Please don't let him find me. Sophia brushed a loose strand of hair behind her ear and forced a smile as she handed a latte to a customer. Her hands trembled slightly, the tremble she had learned to hide well. She kept telling herself, "It's just another day. Nothing will happen. You're invisible." But the universe doesn't always listen. The cafe door opened with a soft chime, and a breeze swept in, rustling the napkins on the tables. Sophia turned, ready to greet whoever had come in. But the sight froze her heartbeat. A black car, parked directly across the street, windows tinted, engine still running. Her throat tightened. No, no, please. She took 2 steps closer to the window. The car was the same model, the same color, the same shape. Her knees weakened. Memories rushed back. Rain's hand gripping her wrist too tightly, his voice rising. The threats. The night she spent crying in silence. The way he promised, "If you ever leave me, I'll find you. I always find what's mine." Sophia blinked hard, snapping out of the past. Her breathing grew uneven. It can't be him, maybe it's just a car, maybe. The driver's door opened. Her heart dropped. A man stepped out, tall, broad shoulders, dark hair. She couldn't see his face fully, but the shape, the posture, it was too familiar. Her vision blurred as panic clawed at her spine. No, this can't be real, not now, not here. She stumbled backward, bumping into a shelf of mugs. They rattled loudly, drawing eyes from customers. "Hey, Sophia, you okay?" Her coworker Lena frowned from behind the espresso machine. Sophia forced a shaky smile. "Why, yeah, just dizzy." Her voice cracked. Lena didn't believe her, but Sophia didn't wait for more questions. She rushed toward the back, pushing open the supply room door. The moment she was alone, her hands flew to her mouth as she tried to muffle her sobbing breath. She leaned against the wall, sliding down until she sat on the floor. Her shoulders trembled. Why now? Why after so long? I can't do this again. For a moment, she thought about running out the back door. But she froze. Running blindly would only make her easier to catch. She squeezed her eyes shut. She needed to think. She needed control. But fear doesn't listen to logic. A knock on the supply room door made her jolt. "Sophia? Someone's asking for service at table 9. I told them you'd be right out." Her stomach twisted. Table 9. The quiet corner. Usually empty. Who asked for her? Sophia wiped her face quickly, inhaling deeply, trying to steady her voice. "I'm coming." But when she stepped out, she felt it immediately. A shift in the atmosphere. A silence that didn't belong. Her coworker nodded toward the far corner. Table 9 was occupied, and the man sitting there was unmistakable. Black suit, rolled up sleeves, sharp jawline, dark eyes that missed nothing. Adrian Moretti, the man whose name people whispered like a warning. The Mafia boss who never came to the same place twice unless he had a reason. Sophia swallowed hard. Why was he here today? She approached slowly, her hands still slightly shaking. Good morning. What can I get for you?" He didn't answer at first. His gaze drifted to her trembling fingers. Then his deep voice filled the silence. "You're scared." Her breath hitched. "I am just tired." His eyebrows lifted slightly, as if amused by the lie. "Who are you hiding from?" Her heart stopped. He couldn't know. He didn't know her story. He didn't know her past. He didn't know anything. "I don't know what you mean," she whispered. But Adrian didn't move, didn't blink. His eyes stayed locked on her face, sharp, observant, almost too calm. Then he said something unexpected. "You should choose better hiding spots. You're trembling so hard that even my men noticed." Her blood ran cold. His men noticed. She forced a step back, desperate to escape before she broke down again. "I'll get your order," she whispered. But as she turned, the cafe bell chimed again. The sound sliced through her like a knife. She looked toward the door, and her world collapsed. Rayan stood there, her abusive ex-husband, the nightmare she thought she outran, the man who swore he would never let her go. He stepped inside slowly, scanning the cafe with eyes sharp enough to cut. And for the first time in 2 years, those eyes looked the same as when she last saw them, cold, angry, and searching. Her legs nearly gave out. "No, no, please," she breathed. Her vision tunneled. He was moving, table by table, his gaze sweeping the room, until he would find her. Adrian noticed her change instantly. His expression hardened. "Sophia," he said quietly, "look at me." But she couldn't. Her eyes were locked on the man she feared more than death. Rayan stepped closer. Her pulse hammered in her ears. She took one step back, then another. Panic pulsed through her veins. She didn't have time. She didn't have a plan. She only had seconds left before he reached her. And then, Rayan's eyes snapped toward the counter. He was getting closer. Sophia's hands shook uncontrollably. Tears blurred her vision. There was no back door near enough, no place to hide, no alley to escape, just the cafe, just him, just fear. And then she realized something terrifying. If he sees her, it's over. Her heart pounded painfully. Adrian leaned forward slightly, watching her with a dangerous kind of focus. "Sophia," he murmured, voice low and steady, "make a choice." But she couldn't think. She couldn't breathe. All she knew was, Rayan was moving closer. His shadow stretched across the floor. His eyes were sweeping the room, coming nearer to her second by second. And Sophia had only one desperate moment left. One moment to decide. Run, hide, or do something she would never imagine doing. Rayan took another step. Sophia's breath shattered, and the chapter ends with her heart pounding, her body frozen, and no idea where to go. As her ex-husband's gaze finally lifts toward her side of the cafe. For a few terrifying seconds, Sophia couldn't hear anything except the pounding of her own heart. The cafe, once full of chatter and clinking cups, now felt like a silent battlefield. Every sound faded, except the heavy footsteps of the man she feared most. Rayan, her ex-husband, the man she had spent 2 years hiding from, was now only a few breaths away. Sophia's fingers trembled against her apron. Her lungs struggled for air. She wanted to run, but her legs wouldn't move. She wanted to hide, but there was nowhere left. Her mind screamed, "Think, Sophia. Do something now." But fear paralyzed her. She felt a gaze burning into her from the corner. Adrian Moretti, the Mafia boss, still sitting at table 9, watching her with a strange, unreadable intensity. He saw everything, her panic, her trembling, her terror. His voice reached her in a low, controlled whisper. "Sophia, don't freeze." But she already had. Rayan kept walking forward, his eyes sweeping the cafe, moving closer and closer to her. Sophia's throat closed. Tears threatened to spill. In that moment, something inside her snapped, something between survival and desperation. She couldn't run. She couldn't hide. She couldn't let Rayan find her standing helpless and alone. So she did the most reckless, unbelievable thing she'd ever done in her life. She turned. She walked straight toward Adrian. And before her fear could stop her, she sat down on his lap. Lily. For a split second, the world stopped. The cafe lights seemed to freeze. The air felt thick. Every sound vanished. Adrian's body stiffened under her. His hands resting casually on the table froze mid-air. His men sitting nearby reached for their waistbands, confused, ready to react. But Sophia didn't look at Adrian. She couldn't. She kept her eyes fixed on the wall behind him, trying not to break apart in front of him. Her heartbeat was a wild drum against her ribs. Her breathing came in short, shaky bursts. Adrian didn't speak at first. His hand moved slowly, deliberately, gripping the armrest of his chair. When he finally spoke, his voice was calm. Too calm. What are you doing, Sophia? She swallowed, her voice barely a whisper. Please, just for a minute. Don't move. Please! Her body shook in fear as she leaned slightly into him, pretending, or maybe hoping, that from a distance, they looked like a couple. Or at least, like a woman who definitely wasn't alone. Adrian glanced past her, scanning the cafe with practiced ease, and his eyes found Rayan instantly. His voice dropped into a darker tone. That's him, isn't it? Sophia didn't answer. She couldn't. Her silence was enough. Adrian exhaled through his nose. Slow, controlled, dangerous. All right, he murmured, almost to himself. Then stay still. His arm lifted and wrapped around her waist. Not tightly, not forcefully, but with a firm weight that told everyone watching, she's with me. Don't disturb. Sophia's breath hitched as she felt the warmth of his arm, the strength in his hold, the steadiness she lacked. She forced herself to lower her head slightly, as if she belonged there, as if Adrian Moretti was the man she had chosen to sit with. From the corner of her eye, she saw Rayan finally reach their side of the cafe. He stopped, right in front of their table. His eyes narrowed. Sophia held her breath so tightly her lungs felt like they would explode. Her nails dug into her palms. She didn't dare look up. She didn't dare move. Rayan stared at Adrian for a long, tense moment, as if trying to understand what he was looking at. A woman in a mafia boss's lap wasn't something any sane man approached without caution. Adrian tilted his head just slightly, meeting Rayan's stare. Not aggressive, not friendly, just cold and sovereign. Something you need? Adrian asked, voice smooth like steel. Rayan shook his head stiffly. No, sorry. His voice was forced, tight. He stepped back. Sophia's entire body trembled as her ex-husband turned away and walked out of the cafe. The bell chimed as the door closed behind him, and only then did she realize she had been holding her breath for almost a full minute. She gasped quietly, struggling to regain control. Adrian's arm remained around her waist, steady, unmoving. He's gone, he said quietly. Sophia finally lifted her head, but the moment she met his eyes, her courage crumbled. I'm sorry, she choked out. I, I didn't know what else to do. I didn't mean to. Adrian stopped her with a slow shake of his head. You don't sit on a man's lap by accident. His voice wasn't angry. It wasn't amused. It was something else, something dangerous, curious, protective. Sophia swallowed hard. Her cheeks burned with embarrassment, fear, and confusion. I had no choice, she whispered. He would have seen me. He's not someone I can face. Adrian studied her quietly for a long moment. Then he leaned closer, his voice dropping low enough that only she could hear. Next time you're in danger, you come to me sooner. Her breath faltered. His tone wasn't controlling. It was a warning, a promise, and an offer all at once. Before she could respond, one of Adrian's men approached the table. Boss, he murmured. The guy who walked in earlier. He circled the block twice. He's waiting in his car. Sophia's heart dropped again. Rayan hadn't truly left. He was out there, watching, waiting. Her fear returned full force, eyes widening with panic. Adrian's jaw tightened, and he pulled Sophia gently off his lap so he could stand. Get your things, he ordered softly. You're not staying here. Sophia shook her head in confusion. What? No, I can't leave. I have work, and my manager. You think he cares about your shift? Adrian cut in. Your ex-husband is waiting outside. You're not walking out of this cafe alone. Sophia felt dizzy. Everything had happened too fast. The fear, the panic, the lap, the protection. None of it made sense. I didn't mean to drag you into this. she whispered. Adrian's eyes darkened slightly. You didn't. He stepped closer. He involved me when he walked into a place I was sitting in, and when he looked at you the way he did. He paused. And when you came to me for protection. Sophia's lips parted, but no words came out. Adrian motioned to his men. We're leaving, he said calmly. Bring the car around. His men nodded instantly and disappeared out the door. Adrian turned back to Sophia. Do you trust me? He asked. She hesitated. Did she trust him? The mafia boss she barely knew? The man whose name made the city tremble? But did she have a choice? Her voice came out small, trembling. I don't know. Adrian didn't get angry. He didn't push her. He simply nodded once. Then let me give you a reason to. The cafe door opened as his car pulled up outside. But before Sophia could move, Adrian's hand gently touched her arm, stopping her. His eyes locked onto hers, steady, unshaken. He's watching, Adrian murmured. Sophia's blood turned to ice. She lowered her gaze toward the window. Outside, in the black car, Rayan was sitting behind the wheel, staring directly at her. A cold, terrifying stare she knew too well. Her hands shook violently. Adrian's grip on her arm tightened just slightly, grounding her, steadying her. His voice dropped into a low whisper, filled with calm power. Don't look at him. Walk beside me. Sophia nodded weakly, her knees shaking as she followed him toward the exit. The cafe bell chimed as they stepped out into the daylight, and the tension thickened like smoke around them. Adrian positioned himself slightly in front of her, blocking Rayan's view. His men fell into place around them. Sophia's breath hitched as they neared the car. Every step felt like walking toward a storm. Every second felt like borrowed time. And just as Adrian opened the door for her, Rayan's car engine roared loudly. The sound sliced through the street. Sophia jumped, her heart jerking in her chest. Adrian turned his head sharply, his eyes narrowing, a dangerous warning already forming on his lips. But before he could speak, Rayan's car door opened. He stepped out, and he wasn't alone. Two men stepped out with him. None of them looked peaceful, and Sophia knew, with chilling certainty, this wasn't over, not even close. The street felt too bright. The daylight felt too sharp, and the silence between the two men, Adrian Moretti and Rayan, felt like a storm waiting to explode. Sophia stood frozen beside the mafia boss's car, her breath trembling in her chest. She could feel her ex-husband's eyes burning into her, not with love, not with regret, but with the same possessive, angry darkness she had spent years running from. Adrian subtly shifted in front of her, blocking Rayan's view with his broad frame. His voice came out low, controlled, dangerous. You step out with two men, uninvited, and walk toward me? Adrian said, eyes locked on Rayan. That's a mistake. Rayan didn't flinch. His hands stayed loose by his sides, but his jaw pulsed with barely contained rage. I'm here for my wife. Sophia shut her eyes for a second, feeling that word stab into her chest like a blade. A lie she thought she had escaped. A chain she thought she had broken. Adrian didn't move, didn't step back, didn't let Rayan past him. She isn't your wife, the mafia boss replied calmly. Not anymore. Rayan's eyes narrowed. You don't know a damn thing about us. Adrian's voice dropped even lower, chilled steel. I know panic when I see it. I know fear, and she is terrified of you. Sophia felt her throat tighten. Adrian's words hid something inside her. Something fragile, something long buried. For a moment, Rayan's gaze flickered toward her. She looked away instantly, and that tiny movement sent him over the edge. He stepped forward aggressively. But Adrian's men moved faster, blocking both Rayan's companions with swift, silent precision. For a moment, the entire street held its breath. Adrian's expression didn't change, but his tone grew colder. One more step toward her, he said, and your legs will be the least of your problems. Rayan's hands balled into fists, but he didn't move again. Instead, he shifted his glare to Sophia. You ran from me, he said. You lied. I looked everywhere for you. Sophia felt her chest tighten painfully. Memories she fought so hard to forget flooded back. Nights she cried herself to sleep. Days she hid bruises under long sleeves. The last time she saw him, when he threw her wedding ring at the wall and told her she would never escape him. Adrian glanced back at her, seeing the fear in her eyes. "Get in the car," Adrian said softly. "Now." His voice was gentle, but strong enough to steady her trembling legs. Sophia nodded, opening the passenger door with shaking hands. But just as she slid inside, Rayan snapped. "You think this man can protect you?" His voice cracked through the street like thunder. "You think you can hide from me behind a gangster?" Sophia's entire body tensed. Before Adrian could respond, Rayan shouted again. "You belong to me, Sophia." Her breath shattered. The memories hit harder now, and she hated how her body reacted. How she still trembled. How her voice froze. How fear still controlled her. But Adrian's reaction was immediate. He stepped toward Rayan, his presence turning sharp and lethal. "You speak about her like she's property," Adrian said coldly. "That ends today." Rayan bristled. "You think you're some hero? You don't know what she did." "I know enough," Adrian replied. "I know she ran from you. I know you chased her. And I know—" He paused, his eyes burning with quiet fury. "That anyone searching for a woman with that much obsession usually has something ugly to hide." Rayan's expression cracked for the first time. Sophia saw it. The flicker of guilt, anger, loss of control. "I loved her," Rayan hissed. "She was mine. She made vows." "And you broke her," Adrian answered. The street went silent. Rayan's face twisted, and for a moment he looked ready to lunge. But Adrian leaned in closer, lowering his voice to a deadly whisper. "You want to touch her? Try." His men subtly reached into their jackets. Rayan's companions stiffened. For a heartbeat, nobody moved. Sophia gripped the edge of the car seat, praying nothing would explode. Not here, not now. Then one of Adrian's men stepped closer. "Boss, we should go. People are watching." Adrian didn't break eye contact with Rayan. "You follow her again," he warned, "and I will end that mistake myself." Rayan clenched his jaw, fury shaking through him. "You're making a very big enemy today, Moretti." Adrian smirked. "Slow, fearless, lethal. Get in line." Rayan hesitated. His eyes darted from Sophia to Adrian, and back again. Then, without another word, he turned sharply, motioning for his men to return to the car. Sophia didn't breathe until Rayan's engine roared and the black vehicle sped away down the street. Only then did Adrian exhale. He opened the driver's door and slid in beside her. "Are you hurt?" he asked. Sophia shook her head. "No, just scared." He nodded once. "You don't have to pretend with me." Something in her chest tightened. Something she had been pushing down for years. She looked out the window, watching the street blur in her vision. "I never wanted this," she whispered. "I didn't want to involve anyone. I didn't want a new enemy. I didn't want to." Her voice trembled. "Sit on your lap like that." Adrian glanced at her, his expression softer than she expected. "You did what you had to," he said. "Fear makes us do unexpected things." Sophia looked down at her hands. "I left him because I thought I could disappear. Start over. Live quietly." Adrian's voice was low. "And why did he want you back so badly?" Sophia hesitated. She had never told anyone the truth. Not even the police. Not even her own family. But now, sitting in the car beside a man whose world was built on danger and power, something inside her cracked open. She whispered, "I left because he wasn't just abusive." She swallowed hard. "He was involved with dangerous people. Deals. Money. Things I wasn't supposed to know." Adrian stiffened. Sophia continued, her voice fragile, trembling. "One night, I overheard something I shouldn't have. Something big. Something criminal." A tear fell down her cheek. "And I knew if he found out, he'd kill me." Adrian's expression changed, a flicker of recognition. as if pieces of a puzzle he hadn't expected were suddenly clicking together. "What did you hear?" he asked carefully. Sophia looked up at him with hollow eyes. "I heard him say your name." Adrian went still, completely still. Sophia wiped her tears with the back of her hand. "He said he had a deal with your enemies. He said if anything went wrong, he'd blame it on me, that they'd come after me instead of him." Adrian's jaw tightened. His hands curled into fists on the steering wheel. And in that moment, for the first time since she met him, Sophia realized something. Her past wasn't just painful. It wasn't just abusive. It wasn't just dangerous. It was connected to Adrian Moretti himself. "What exactly did he say?" Adrian asked again, voice deadly calm. Sophia took a shaky breath. "He said, if Moretti ever crosses me, I'll give them her name. She'll take the fall. She'll be the bait." Adrian's eyes darkened to something terrifying. He leaned back in the seat, exhaling slowly. "Sophia," he said quietly, "you weren't just running from a husband." He turned to her fully. "You were running from a man who tried to use you to start a war." Sophia covered her mouth with her trembling hand. Tears streamed down her cheeks. She had known her past was dangerous, but she never knew it was this deep, this tangled, this deadly. "And if he told any of those men your name," Adrian continued, "they won't stop. Not unless someone stops them first." Sophia felt her lungs collapse. "So what do I do now?" she whispered. Adrian looked at her with a seriousness she had never seen before. "You stay with me," he said. "You stay where I can protect you." Her breath caught in her throat. He wasn't asking. He wasn't suggesting. He was deciding. But before she could respond, Adrian's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. His face darkened even more. "What is it?" Sophia whispered. Adrian turned the phone so she could see it. A message from an unknown number. A picture. A picture of her, standing inside the cafe, taken just minutes before. Below it, a text. "She won't be hard to take. Helma ready to watch his back." Sophia's blood turned to ice. Adrian's grip tightened around the phone until his knuckles turned white. "This," he said, voice quiet and dangerous, "is only the beginning." Sophia's heart thundered. Her past hadn't just found her. It had followed her, targeted her, marked her. And now, she wasn't the only one in danger. Daylight should have felt safe. But today, daylight was the most dangerous thing. The morning sun spilled across the city, bright and warm, yet Elena walked with her shoulders tight, her hands trembling slightly at her sides. Every sound made her flinch. Every passing car made her heart jump. Because daylight meant visibility. Daylight meant she could be seen. Daylight meant he could find her. And for the first time in years, someone was walking beside her who refused to let her run. Gabriel, the Mafia boss whose lap she had accidentally, desperately, ended up on the night before. The man who whispered he'd protect her. The man who didn't let fear control him. Now, he walked half a step behind her, keeping his eyes everywhere. Corners, rooftops, parked cars, mirrors, reflections. A hunter disguised in a calm, tailored suit. But Elena felt like prey. The little peachy city felt different now. "Elena," Gabriel murmured softly as they crossed a sunlit street. "You're breathing too fast." I'm fine," she whispered. "You're not," he said. "And you don't have to pretend with me." His voice wasn't commanding. It wasn't threatening. It was grounding. Still. She swallowed hard. Last night kept replaying in her mind, the moment she saw her ex-husband just a few tables away, the rising panic, her impulsive choice to sit on Gabriel's lap, and his slow, protective whisper, "I'll protect you." She didn't know if it was a promise or a mistake. Maybe both. Gabriel suddenly slowed down, placing a hand near her back. Not touching, just close enough to guide her gently. "Stay on my right," he said quietly. Her stomach nodded. "Did you see something?" "No," he replied. "But someone like him doesn't disappear after getting that close to you. He'll try again. Men like that, They always do. Elena looked away, blinking fast, because she knew he was right. E. Arrival ATTHE safe house. Gabriel led her toward an older apartment building, not luxurious, not flashy, not the kind of place anyone would expect a mafia boss to bring someone to. This is temporary, he said, just until I figure out what he wants, or how much he knows. Elena bit her lip. He wants control. He always did. Gabriel's jaw tightened. Not anymore. He checked the entrance, then the stairwell, then the hallway. Every motion precise, every step calculated. Elena watched him silently. This was a man who lived in danger. But today, he acted like she was the one worth guarding. Inside the apartment, Gabriel locked the door behind them and pulled the curtains even though it was noon. Elena suddenly felt the weight of everything, her past, her mistakes, her fear, crashing down on her. I shouldn't be here, she whispered, pacing. I'm dragging you into something you don't need. I don't want to be your problem. Gabriel leaned against the wall, arms crossed, eyes steady. You think you dragged me into this? He asked. Elena, the moment you walked across that restaurant last night, before you even sat on my lap, you were already in danger. You didn't drag me into anything. I chose to step in. Her breath hitched. Why? Why would you choose that? His voice dropped lower. Because no woman should have to look that scared of a manual. Her eyes burned. Ew. T call that changed everything. Just as she inhaled to speak, Gabriel's phone buzzed. He answered instantly. No greeting. Just silence as he listened. Elena watched the color shift in his eyes, from calm to cold steel. Finally, he spoke. Where? A pause. When? Another pause. No, don't move him. I'm coming. He hung up. Elena's heart sank. What happened? Gabriel stepped closer, his presence overpowering but not frightening. Elena, your ex-husband was spotted 2 blocks from here. She froze. He's asking about you, showing your picture around, and he's not alone. Her pulse hammered painfully. That means, Gabriel continued, he's not just looking for you. He lowered his voice. He's hunting you. Her knees weakened, and Gabriel immediately steadied her, his hand brushing her elbow. The contact was warm. Almost too warm. Breathe, he whispered. I can't, she stuttered. He's here. Gabriel, he's here. I know. His reassurance didn't sound soft this time. It sounded like a vow. Deep. Dangerous. Absolute. I'm not letting him touch you. Her eyes lifted to his. Not now. Not ever. Something inside her cracked open. Fear, relief, disbelief, all tangled together. But what do we do? She whispered. Gabriel exhaled slowly. We move before he does. EDD. Teach E Street they shouldn't have walked down. Minutes later, they were back outside, Gabriel guiding her toward the back alley behind the building, staying close but never suffocating. Walk normally, he murmured. Don't look around. Leave that to me. Elena tried, but her skin crawled. Daylight didn't feel warm anymore. It felt like a spotlight. As they approached a quieter street, Gabriel stiffened for half a second, too quick for anyone else to notice, but Elena caught it. What? She whispered. He didn't answer. Instead, he subtly shifted her behind him. Elena stayed close. She felt the air tighten. The sunlight dimmed behind drifting clouds. The street suddenly felt too empty. Her throat dried. Then, a man turned the corner. Tall, shadowed, moving too slowly, like he wanted them to see him. Gabriel's hand brushed her hip, guiding her behind his arm. Elena, he murmured, voice almost a growl. Don't panic. But she already knew. Her breath shook. It was him, her ex-husband. Even from a distance, she felt the same old fear crawl back into her bones. He lifted his chin, eyes locking on hers, even across the street. A smirk spread across his face. He knew. He found her. Gabriel stepped forward, shielding her completely. Back inside, he said, low and dangerous. No. But when Elena turned, she froze. Two more men were behind them, blocking the way out. Her heartbeat roared in her ears. Gabriel cursed under his breath, then shifted into a fighter's stance, not openly aggressive, just ready, controlled. Elena, he whispered without looking at her, stay behind me, no matter what happens. Her voice trembled. Gabriel, I told you I'll protect you, he said. His tone sharpened. And I will. Her ex-husband took a single step forward. The back alley sunlight caught his face, revealing the same cold smile she thought she'd escaped forever. Elena, he said, voice dripping with triumph, going somewhere? Gabriel positioned himself like a wall of muscle and rage. But the street had already closed in, and there were three of them, 3 against 1. Elena's breath caught. Because daylight wasn't safety. Daylight was the trap, and they were surrounded. The daylight felt colder now, sharper. Like every ray of sun was cutting through the quiet street where the trap had finally closed around them. Elena stood behind Gabriel, her breath shaking, her fingers gripping the back of his jacket like it was the only thing anchoring her to the ground. In front of them, her ex-husband, the man she had spent years hiding from. Behind them, 2 more men blocking the exit. 3 against 1. And one of them wanted her back. Her ex-husband's smile widened as he stepped closer. After all this time, he said slowly, you still run. And still, you get caught. Elena flinched at the voice she hoped she would never hear again. That voice once charmed her, then controlled her, then chained her. But before the panic could swallow her, Gabriel stepped forward half a step, his body forming a wall between her and the danger. And this time he wasn't calm. He was furious. Don't take another step, Gabriel warned, his voice deep and cold. Her ex-husband raised a brow, amused. Who are you supposed to be? Her guard dog? Gabriel's jaw tightened. Elena felt the tension brewing in his muscles under her hands. No, Gabriel said quietly. I'm the man who's going to break your legs if you touch her again. The 2 men behind them shifted, inching forward like predators closing in. Elena gripped Gabriel tighter. Don't fight them, please. Gabriel whispered back. I'm not fighting them. I'm ending this. The moment, everything exploded. Her ex-husband snapped his fingers. The 2 men behind them moved. Elena gasped. Before she could scream, Gabriel pushed her gently to the side, stepping forward like he'd been waiting for this exact moment. What happened next happened fast. One of the men lunged. Gabriel moved quicker. He twisted, grabbed the man's arm, and slammed him against the alley wall with brutal precision. The second man rushed in from behind. Elena shouted, Gabriel. But Gabriel already heard him. He ducked, elbowed the man in the stomach, and kicked him back with enough force to knock him to the ground. It wasn't messy. It wasn't wild. It was clean, controlled, practiced violence. The kind of violence only a man who lived in shadows could do. Her ex-husband's smirk vanished. You think I'm scared of you? He barked, stepping forward. Gabriel's eyes turned dark, dangerous, unmistakably lethal. I think, Gabriel said, you're about to regret breathing near her. Neither do you. Teach your face off. The street fell silent. Her ex-husband stared at Gabriel, suddenly uncertain. He wasn't used to losing control. He wasn't used to being challenged. He definitely wasn't used to anyone standing up for Elena. He spat on the ground. She's mine. Elena's breath stopped. Gabriel took one slow step forward. Look at her, he said, voice deadly but calm. Does she look like she belongs to you? Her ex-husband's face twisted. She ran from me. She owes me. She owes you nothing, Gabriel snapped. That was the first time Elena had heard him raise his voice. Her ex-husband pointed at her with a shaking hand. I can drag her out of here. I can make her come home. No, Gabriel said. You can't. Her ex-husband laughed. Who's going to stop me? You! Gabriel smiled. Not a warm smile. Not a human smile. A mafia boss's smile. I won't have to, Gabriel said softly. Because she doesn't fear me. She fears you. And that means you've already lost. For the first time, her ex-husband hesitated. Just a flicker. But Gabriel saw it. And so did Elena. Her heart twisted, not with fear, but with something like hope. Yeah. Teach E whisper that broke her. Then Gabriel spoke again. Not to her ex-husband. To her. Elena. He murmured without turning around. Do you want to go with him? Her entire world froze. Her ex-husband barked. Don't answer that. Elena. Gabriel's voice cut through everything. Look inside yourself and answer. You want to go back to him? She staggered backward, tears burning her eyes. Go back. Back to a cage? Back to bruises she hid under makeup? Back to silence? She lifted her chin. Her voice cracked, but she forced it out. No, I never want to see him again. Her ex-husband's face twisted in rage. Gabriel finally turned his head, meeting her eyes. And in the middle of that alley, in broad daylight, with danger pressing in from all sides, he whispered the words that would change everything. Then I'll protect you even if it costs me everything. Her breath shattered. Her ex-husband lunged. Gabriel pivoted, grabbed him by the collar, and slammed him against a parked car with a strength Elena didn't know a man could have. Her ex-husband groaned, struggling. You don't own her anymore. Gabriel growled into his ear. You never did. The other two men scrambled to their feet and backed away, unwilling to rejoin the fight after watching Gabriel's precision. Her ex-husband spat out. You think this ends here? Gabriel leaned in closer. No, I think it ends now. Elena slapped her hand over her mouth. Gabriel didn't punch. He didn't hit. He just leaned in, whispered something into the man's ear, too low for Elena to hear. Whatever it was, it drained the color from her ex-husband's face instantly. He staggered back, shaking, eyes wide with fear. And then, he ran. Just turned and ran. Elena collapsed against the wall, tears falling freely. Relief. Shock. Exhaustion. It all hit at once. Gabriel walked to her slowly, his breathing calm again. Elena. He whispered softly, crouching beside her. It's over. She looked up at him, trembling. What did you say to him? Gabriel brushed a strand of hair from her cheek. I told him what happens to men who chase what doesn't belong to them. Her heart twisted again. But you, she breathed. Why do you care this much? Gabriel hesitated. For the first time that day. Then he leaned close, voice barely audible, his breath brushing her skin. Because the moment you sat on my lap last night, you became someone I couldn't walk away from. Her heartbeat thundered. Gabriel stared into her eyes, but then suddenly stiffened, looking over her shoulder. Elena froze. What is it? She whispered. Gabriel's jaw clenched. Elena, we're not done yet. She turned, and her breath left her body. A black car had appeared at the end of the street. Tinted windows. Engine running. Wrong. Threatening. Unfamiliar. Another player had arrived. Another threat neither of them expected. And Gabriel whispered, Elena, stay behind me. The danger wasn't over. Not even close.